7. Jasmine Hartan. Jasmine Hartan is a well-known socialite and former real estate agent. The 32-year-old is believed to have shot Belizean Police Superintendent Henry Jamat. The mother of two had really been avoiding reporters for weeks when she decided to meet with 48 Hours, an American TV show, to exclusively discuss the night she shot and murdered a top government official in Belize. Towards the end of May this year, 2021, Hartan had captivated the attention of the whole country. So what happened on the day of the murder? After midnight, emergency responders discovered Jasmine covered in blood. She was on a lonely pier near the Great Beach Shore property where she lived with her husband, Andrew Ashcroft, the son of a British billionaire. Authorities also found Police Superintendent Henry Jamat, one of Belize's most influential and well-liked officers, in nearby waters of the Caribbean. He was dead. He had a gunshot wound behind his right ear, and the bullet was allegedly fired by himself. There were several speculations regarding Hartan and Jamat in the aftermath of the incident. Why were they on a pier by themselves, in the dark, at that hour of the night? Was it because of drugs, or was it infidelity? Hartan denied that the two were having any sexual relationship. However, allegations soon arose that she had changed her version of the story again and again, which fueled further curiosity. This case is a fantastic illustration of how a billionaire may abuse their power in the most heinous way possible. Hartan initially informed officials that Jamat had been shot by a stranger, possibly from a boat that was passing by. But later, she reportedly confessed to her attorney to firing the fatal shot herself. She said she fired at the officer accidentally. She went on to add that her buddy and well-wisher Henry Jamat had been pressing her to buy a rifle for personal protection. He had saved her from a near sexual assault just a week before. She said that they had been drinking before heading to the dock, where she gave him a shoulder massage. According to Hartan, Jamat was teaching her how to load and unload the magazine and bullets from his Glock 17 service handgun. She explained how it happened by accident, stating, "I'm holding it like this to the top and like this, and I'm trying to get the magazine out. Next thing I know, the gun went off." Hartan was charged with manslaughter by negligence. The family of Henry Jamat feels his death was the result of something much more heinous. A video of Hartan knocking off the head of a watermelon with a shotgun like a pro soon surfaced. So obviously she is not as naive as she claims to be. Investigators in Belize have not revealed any forensic details nor any other official documents in the case against Jasmine Hartan publicly. No trial date has been scheduled so far. As per the Belizean law, she could either be sentenced to 5 years in jail or might even walk free by buying her freedom. 6. Vijay Mallya. Former billionaire Vijay Mallya was a notable airline and liquor tycoon. But if you think he was well known for his business strategies, you're mistaken. This man is the very definition of what it is to be flamboyant. From excessive partying and a supremely elevated lifestyle, he had it all. Forget about owning a private jet. Mallya had a fleet of them. He was the founder and owner of Kingfisher Airlines. After a brief successful run, the business crash-landed and is currently inoperative. What followed was a chain of events that started with a tycoon claiming bankruptcy. Starting in 2012, it was found that Mallya was millions of dollars in debt, owing money to several banks, in an exhaustive attempt to keep his aviation company running. When the man went missing, all the banks, with the help of the government, put their heads together in a hunt like never before. But Mallya was prepared. He already had a foreign passport, which he gained after becoming a member of the Upper House of Parliament in India. Before anyone could get to him, he fled the country to the UK, leaving millions worth of debt unpaid for, and thousands of employees with an uncertain future. Mallya is yet to come back to India, despite the enormous effort by the government and the banks to arrest him. As per Business Standard, the entrepreneur is being accused of bank fraud and money laundering allegations, and legal action is yet to be initiated. Consequently, Malya will now have to give over all his payment cards as well as his remaining assets to a bankruptcy trustee. The trustee will identify his assets and liabilities. This appraisal will be utilized to pay back the bad loans incurred by the collaboration of Indian banks. Vijay Mallya's net worth was drastically lowered when a bankruptcy filing was utilized to retrieve over $1 billion in cash. That being said, he is still on the loose. A few journalists have even bumped into him on the streets of London, but apart from an attempt to get a quick word with him, nothing much has been possible. Will Mallya be extradited anytime? Will he clear off the debt? Only time can tell. For now, he seems to still live his billionaire lifestyle, although he officially claimed to have no money. We know he has billions intact. Somewhere. 5. Silvio Berlusconi. Silvio Berlusconi, Italy's former prime minister, has begun a year-long community service at a care center near Milan after being convicted for tax fraud. But this is not the first legal dispute he's got himself into. To avoid paying taxes in Italy, he and other executives purchased TV rights at exorbitant cost through 2 offshore firms in the early 1990s. In 2013, Berlusconi was sentenced to 4 years in prison, which was automatically reduced under a 2006 Pardon Act. Berlusconi was accused of paying for sex with an underage prostitute and misusing his power in June 2013. After serving 7 years in prison, he was prohibited from holding public office ever again. Nevertheless, he was allowed to remain free until the appeal process was completed. Berlusconi was convicted of paying for sex with Miss Maurung several times in 2010 when she was 17. And what is particularly shocking is he was still Italy's prime minister at the time. He was also found to have misused the powers of his position by arranging to have her freed from police custody after she was apprehended in a small theft case. Maurung was amongst more than 40 people questioned on suspicions of witness tampering in the case. In March, the new conviction showed that Berlusconi violated confidentiality and was again sentenced to 1 year in prison. He is revealed to have arranged for a police wiretap about a political competitor to be leaked and printed in a newspaper. The discussion took place between the CEO of Insurance Unipol and Piero Fassino, the leader of the major center-left party, and Berlusconi's #1 rival. Unipol was planning to take over BNL Bank in 2005. Magistrates had authorized the wiretap since they feared unlawful intervention in the takeover. Apart from these charges, another fresh trial cropped up in February 2014 in Naples. He was charged for attempting to buy a senator from another political party for a bribe of $4 million in 2006. A couple of other cases concerning bribing and tax evasions were also filed against him. But as of now, he's pretty much living it up still, most likely doing the same stuff as before. Do you think Silvio Berlusconi will continue to get away with his crimes? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. 4. Mikhail Khodorkovsky and Platon Lebedev. In 2004, Mikhail Khodorkovsky was the wealthiest man in Russia, and with $15 billion, the 16th richest person in the world. However, his luck ran out, as Khodorkovsky became his country's most renowned prisoner. How could someone go from being a billionaire to a prisoner? In 2003, he and his business partner, Platon Lebedev, were jailed for tax evasion. He lost his oil and gas business, Yukos, and was given a 13-year jail sentence after a contentious trial. Khodorkovsky alleges the sentence was influenced by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Khodorkovsky spent part of his term in a work camp in southeast Russia, where he wrote a 3-part essay on political and social duty entitled Left Turn. The partners were set to be freed in 2011, but were reconvicted on fraud and money laundering charges, which further piled on an additional 6 extra years to their sentence. On December 19, 2013, Khodorkovsky was finally released from jail due to his mother's ill health. Know how? Thanks to a generous pardon from Putin. Lebedev was released a month later. So the one who supposedly put him in jail was also responsible for releasing him. Think it was out of pity? Well, apparently there was something bigger going on. Khodorkovsky's release was presented as part of a Kremlin strategy to calm Western criticism of Russia's human rights record. The whole drama about releasing the billionaire unfolded right before the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi. By releasing Khodorkovsky 8 months before completing his sentence, Putin was not able to release his old opponent on his own terms, but also arrange for him to be transferred out of the country. 3. Rajaratnam. Rajaratnam made his fortune as the founder of the Galleon Group, a hedge fund business in New York. In 2009, the FBI arrested him for insider trading, and a jury convicted him guilty of not one, but 14 fraud and conspiracy charges. The prosecution against Rajaratnam encompassed 25 additional defendants, of which 21 pleaded guilty. It was primarily based on wiretaps, a strategy previously utilized against suspected drug traffickers and organized crime leaders, but was unique in investigations of securities fraud. During the trial, prosecutors revealed multiple recordings of phone calls. Rajaratnam received or addressed inside information or gave guidance on concealing or covering up stock movements based on inside tips. The government said that Rajaratnam had benefited or avoided losing more than $63 million with his use of inside knowledge. In 2011, apart from being sent to 11 years in jail, he was also forced to give up more than $50 million and pay a fine of $10 million. He was reportedly freed early in July 2019, allegedly owing to the First Step Act, which Kim Kardashian, among others, pressed President Trump to pass. The statute grants early release to nonviolent criminals who are over 60 years old or are terminally sick. Now, Rajaratnam is claimed to be diabetic and living a quiet life in New York City under supervised parole. 2. Lee Jae-yong. Lee Jae-yong, known professionally in the West as J.Y. Lee, is a South Korean business billionaire and the chairman of Samsung. A South Korean court gave J.Y. Lee a fine of $60,000 for his illicit drug usage, handing a legal setback to the boss of the country's largest firm. After local media reports, a Seoul Central District Court spokesperson confirmed the penalty and 17 million won of extra forfeiture. During a recent court hearing, Lee had testified that he took the drug propofol 41 times during the 5-year time frame through 2020. Lee's defenders have claimed that he took the drug based on doctors' prescriptions, but accepted the prosecutor's charges. The Samsung tycoon was under psychological strain after the death of his father and was facing many claims of financial malfeasance. The 53-year-old has been caught up in legal issues for years, beginning with his workforce planning in 2014 when his father and Samsung chairman Lee Kun-hee had a heart attack. Lee was accused of using bribes to obtain support for his official succession at the corporation and jailed for 2.5 years before being released on parole. He now faces the threat of returning to jail if he is convicted of anything else. Allegations of his participation in financial crimes relating to a merger of the two Samsung affiliates in 2015 have him appearing in court hearings every week. Separately, authorities are probing further claims of tax cheating and concealing assets abroad after Yonhap News revealed a paper firm established in an offshore tax haven in 2008. Since he was released on parole in August, Lee has resumed managing Samsung and directing investment initiatives, including a $205 billion expenditure plan to develop the semiconductor business in Korea. He may also visit the United States shortly to confirm the chip maker's promise to establish an advanced chip facility on American soil. 1. Alfred Talman. Adolf Alfred Talman was an American businessman and philanthropist. In 2001, the former chairman of Sotheby's Auction Company was accused of scheming to set auction commission rates paid to U.S. sellers and was in breach of antitrust laws. The plot charged at least $400 million in charges from 1993 to 1999. Taubman rejected the allegations but was still sentenced to a year and a day in jail. According to reports, Tennant was never tried since he could not be deported from London under English law. Taubman, a millionaire who built shopping malls in America's suburbs, was sentenced to 9 months in prison. In May of 2003, he was freed. In his biography, Threshold Resistance: The Extraordinary Career of a Luxury Retailing Pioneer, he writes, "I had lost a chunk of my life, my good name, and around 27 pounds." Thanks for watching. What did you think of these super rich people that went terribly wrong? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye.